All right, it's the KwinnPop Pop Tower Podcast. I'm Peter W. Dawson.
I'm James Bullock.
And this is episode 42. Finally, we'll have the answer to life, the universe, and everything. That's right, I bring in the joke back. How you doing today, James?
Oh, man, I'm feeling pretty good, but I think I'm going to have to send you in for an undercover mission.
Oh, man. Am I going to have to infiltrate something I'm not racially appropriate for?
Possibly, but someone will identify you very early, and they will just be called an idiot throughout the majority of your time as an undercover agent.
Fantastic. And then it'll be the 80s again, won't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because look at all of those 80s pop culture references that we love so much. Because you have watched Stranger Things, haven't you?
Of course.
Of course. So you will recognize all of these things just without Dungeons and Dragons to keep you occupied.
What is Netflix?
It's the thing that's controlling us right now.
Son of a bitch. And then we'll all be Bohemian Rhapsody. I nearly said something else, but I thought that might have come off cross badly. As you can probably guess by these vague references, we're going to be talking about the 2018 Best in Film. Do you want to start us off, James?
Oh, man, I'm going to start off with the first thing I mentioned, BlacKkKlansman. Because it's not with only one K.
I know, I'm never sure how to do it, because I always think the capital is in the middle.
Right.
But it's the capital K at the end of black and the capital K at the beginning of Klansman. The one in the middle is the small one.
Yes. But it's all one word, too. But, man, I had no idea before I even saw this that freaking Denzel Washington's son was Ron. I had no idea.
Yeah, because John David Washington being
Yes, John David Washington looks like his mom, sounds like his dad.
Yep.
And, of course, he actually has this opportunity to not necessarily infiltrate the Klan, but get in contact with, mind you, let me rephrase that, the organization. He gets in contact with the organization.
Yep.
Who is non-violent, mind you.
I want to open this, by the way, by saying, first of all, this is a Spike Lee film. Spike Lee, of course, very accomplished director. You know, not afraid to tackle race, because that's a good chunk of his career.
Including doing remakes of Old Boy.
This might be his best film since 25th Hour.
Maybe Inside?
I honestly didn't like Inside. Inside was alright.
Okay.
Because, you know, it's still the Denzel Power Hour. But
Yeah.
But, I didn't like it as much as... you were talking about Inside Man, right?
Yeah, Inside Man, yep.
Yeah, there was some good stuff to that, but I honestly didn't like it as much as some of the other stuff he's done.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like it was one of those, like, he went on a streak of kind of mediocre films, so it was like a somewhat return to form, but it still wasn't up to par.
Oh yeah, because I mean, if nothing else, Do the Right Thing is a very good film to watch.
Oh my goodness, yes. One of my top 10, easy.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
But in this game, like I said, it's return to form. And he's collaborating not with Denzel Washington, but with John David Washington, his son, as well as one of the major producers on this was actually Jordan Peele.
Yes. I was actually surprised. I was looking at the wiki after I watched the movie, and I did not have a clue that he was a part of the movie. And, well, I didn't even see it. I didn't even notice on the credits, of course. But once I saw it, I was like, man, yeah, he definitely has his finger on it in certain ways.
Yeah.
If you see some of his work, like with Get Out and everything, you can definitely see the finger of Jordan Peele somewhere in this movie.
Well, and by the way, I had a very real lesson in potentially the choices I've made in life, because I was describing this people of this film, and I mentioned because we were talking about the career of Topher Grace.
Okay.
And I pointed out he's in this movie, and he's like, yeah, he went from being a lead in that 70s show to playing David Duke. And the person I was telling about had no idea who David Duke was.
Wow.
Yeah. So apparently I was...
Man,
it's like, why do I know who he is?
Right.
Should I know who he is?
Well, he wanted to be president, so I mean, you have to know these things. You have to know if he wanted to be, potential United States presidents. You have freaking David Duke.
See, it's times like this I remember my favorite line from X-Men Origins Wolverine.
What?
I'm Canadian.
David Duke crosses all borders, as we see through phone calls.
It's true.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
but
it's
Topher Grace, man, good lord, what a performance.
Yeah. Oh, he was great in this.
Oh.
It was really the role he was born to play. I say with no hint of irony. Oh man.
Yeah, because there's these running conversations between David Duke and Ron, and of course David Duke has no idea this is a black man he's talking to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's these very uncomfortable, dark yet woefully funny moments between two individuals who do not see eye to eye whatsoever, with one pretending to be somebody that he's not, and the other just being oblivious, completely oblivious. And they actually have an interaction later in the movie, and I love the fact that he recognizes his voice immediately, but it's just like it can't even process the idea that this could be the same person.
I know, yeah, because it's such a crazy thing. Just the basic premise that it actually happened, that an African American man infiltrated the Klan.
Yes.
Never mind a detective. It's like, and so, I mean, you can criticize some of the historical accuracy, but I mean, I think what I like about this film is the style and everything is basically perfect to make you believe it happened. Because
it's really hard to question any of the believability of what you've seen in this movie.
No, they do it perfectly, and that's one of the reasons I think it got nominated for Best Picture, because you know, you can argue, because I mean that's unfortunately been a thing lately about the race implications and whatnot, but you know, and the political connections, whatever. But
and they touch on that at the very end of the movie too. Yeah,
but the style, the performances and everything are really good.
Yeah,
and you know, it's honestly it's nice to see a movie that actually made a decent amount of money get nominated.
Yeah, very much so. And one of the more interesting aspects I did not expect was Laura Harrier, who that she played Patrice in the movie, who was pretty much Ron's love interest, and but she does such a great job, and it's amazing to see her like Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like,
I know,
I did not expect this from her.
Well, yeah, because you know it's such a thankless role in Spider-Man.
I know.
Oh, what? You have to be sad and bland? But supportive and cute? The love interest.
The love interest. But great movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. To me, lived up to the hype. And happy to see it for Best Picture.
Yeah, no, I like I said, because Spike Lee had kind of fallen from grace a little bit for me lately. I was actually very happy to see it. I hate to say it, but do you want to just go into the next Black movie?
Let's hit it, my brother.
Well, because we were talking, because I mentioned movies that made a lot of money getting nominated, because there was a couple years, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, all the Best Picture nominations made less than $60 million.
Wow.
I know, like BlacKkKlansman made about 90, which is still not a lot, but, you know, it's respectable.
Especially it didn't have, like, the biggest release either.
I know. And it seems like since then they've been trying to have at least one movie that made a lot of money that a lot of people liked. Mm-hmm. And in this case, well, one of them ended up being Black Panther.
Yeah.
Which we've already talked about at length, so we're not going to get into it too much. But, I mean, box office alone, $1.34 billion.
Good grief, man.
I know, right? I mean, you know, it's Marvel and everything, and I really hate talking about demographics just in general. Not because, like, I'm uncomfortable necessarily, but because it makes it, like, you know, too sterilized.
Yeah.
You know, that's, like, too much, like, numbers on a spreadsheet. But, I mean, you know, it's tapping into demographics that really didn't have something like this before.
Yeah, because, I mean speaking as an African-American, knowing friends that aren't necessarily into the superhero genre of movies, they went simply because it's a majority black cast. So, I mean, that's just how it is. It's just one of those things that you find the support system in people that you recognize as one of your own.
Well, isn't that one of the reasons Fast and Furious is arguably doing so well, is because of how diverse the cast is?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, Vin Diesel's still very white, but...
still very ambiguous.
No, he's... I think he was white, but he was raised by an African-American father.
Yeah.
And I think it's mostly Italian. It's one of those things. But let's get off race politics. I do want to talk about probably the other movie that made the most money on this list, which is Bohemian Rhapsody. We're actually still in the B's, too, so this is interesting.
That's right.
We didn't get a chance to talk about Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, we didn't.
It's kind of outside our wheelhouse, not entirely, but so Bohemian Rhapsody made about $800 million. So we had a couple of decently profitable films this year on the list, and Bohemian Rhapsody is essentially a semi-biopic, semi-celebration of Queen,
Right.
the band, with a focus on Freddie Mercury in particular, but a decent amount of time is given to the other band members, even though you don't learn much about them.
Yeah, it's more of like the idea of how they created their hit songs and how they how they kind of gel together as a band.
Yeah. Well, 'cause, I mean, don't forget, the rumor was at one point the script had Freddie Mercury dying halfway through.
Yeah, they really, and that's why, to me, one of the biggest problems with Bohemian Rhapsody as an experience, considering the character that you're really focusing on, which is Freddie Mercury, is just how many of the key things in his life that eventually led to his death are just skimmed over or completely ignored.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things where it's like, you can understand what they were doing with stuff. Like, I can't even think of, what the heck is his name? Yeah, because Freddie Mercury himself, there's a lot of scenes that are kind of flat.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bit where he casually mentions, "Oh, I changed my name," and this just happens at a kitchen table.
Yeah.
It's really weird because there's some really stylized stuff, like the world tour montage, and just basically a bit where he's clearly pining after his ex-wife, despite the fact that, you know, he started having sex with men.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he himself, this is something that was kind of a controversy. He himself in the film says he's bisexual. She insists he's gay, and the implication is he's still attracted to her. So, like, people have been saying, like, they made him gay when he was supposed to be, you know, bisexual. I was like, the implication is there that he's still bisexual.
Right.
Like, it absolutely is. I mean, there's plenty of other stuff you could rip into the film, too, like the way they imply when he got AIDS, even though he actually got AIDS later on. It was weird.
Yeah. The time differences was very odd for a movie that's supposed to be handled by people that actually know what's going on, what happened.
Yeah.
But they had so many problems leading up to it. I guess they just gave up on trying to be accurate.
Yeah, well, there's some stuff they put together for convenience. Like, they made the day of Band-Aid the most important day of his career.
Yeah.
Like, they made him sum up his entire life by, you know, making peace with his parents, finding the man he'd fallen in love with years before but didn't find again. What else did he do? Didn't he do something else? He made peace with the band.
Yeah, he made peace with... Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just the whole thing. And then they had that really awesome and slightly awkward ending where they're doing basically all of Live Aid.
Yes.
Which was awesome, but they had way too many shots just cutting to people smiling and watching.
Yes, it was very weird.
Like, it's simultaneously like the cinematic achievement, and it's like you're kind of ruining it by keep showing these things. Like, it really doesn't surprise me that some of the stuff, the movie's gotten some flack for some of the stuff because just it's both stylistic and not.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll totally give all the props in the world to Rami Malek.
Oh my goodness, man! This was his performance. This was him.
Yeah. I mean, no shock he got nominated for Best Actor.
Yeah, which is amazing because, like, with Sacha Baron Cohen coming out and looking so much like Freddie Mercury to the point, like, he was almost, when he did Who's America, I was like, man, he looks like Freddie Mercury. Like, he's keeping the mustache just like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. It's... no, it was a good flick.
Yeah, a solid movie. Again, like,
I don't think it's going to win Best Picture.
No, I was about to say, it's one of those movies that, once again, don't see it as a Best Picture.
No, but I mean, I totally get why people like it. And the fact that it's one of the most profitable, you know, musical movies of all time does make sense to me. Because, I mean, for God's sake, it's Queen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they played the scene where he realizes he's got AIDS and he has to figure out what to do with his life. They played Who Wants to Live Forever, and it didn't feel cheesy at all.
No.
Because, like, if you put that if you put that in a worse movie, it's gonna feel like the most heavy-handed nonsense. But it made perfect sense here, and that's still one of my favorite Queen songs.
I mean,
that's why I love Highlander so much.
It's hard for me to believe if you grew up, pretty much, especially during the time that we grew up, if you don't know one Queen song, like, that's almost an impossibility at this point.
Yeah.
You probably heard it, and then, like, other people have heard it and have no idea.
I want to ride my bicycle. Because, you know, that's the one people think of when they think about Queen.
Really?
like the build they put up to Bohemian Rhapsody itself in the movie. Oh yeah, and shout out to Mike Myers being in costume again.
Yeah.
Of course I didn't realize that was Mike Myers at the time.
I just couldn't help but think, like you were saying, like if they put I Want to Live Again in somebody's hands, all I can think about is Michael Bay.
Yeah. Well, do you wanna use that as a transition to the
yeah,
next
exactly.
movie?
For our favorite superhero movie of the year.
Well,
it wasn't bad. Bumblebee. It wasn't bad. It was a 1980s movie.
Yeah. Well,
that has been done better elsewhere.
It's been done better elsewhere, but there's two important things to take away from this. One, it's probably the best Transformers movie we've gotten so far. I'm including the original animated film.
I was right there until that.
I will throw down the gauntlet on that.
It was good. I think more like rose-colored glasses comes with that perspective.
Well, because I hate Hot Rod. I hate everything about Hot Rod and Rodimus. I hate that whole arc. I mean, there's still so much good stuff about that film.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say it's a bad film, but I genuinely like this better, even though it's very much in the vein of E.T. and Iron Giant.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Those are probably the big two.
We were just missing that moment where Bumblebee jumps and we see the moon in the background. Like that was the only thing we were missing.
Yeah. Not to mention it possibly ships her and Bumblebee.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
There's a weird moment in that movie when you realize, oh god, is the main romance between Haley Steinfeld and Bumblebee?
because our other love interest, which I can't even remember the dude's name at this point.
Nope.
I'm actually looking it up. What? Is that Memo?
The love interest character, the secondary love interest character is almost never interesting, and like we were giving poor Laura Harrier a bit of flack earlier, kind of for the thankless task in what do you call it, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
And in this case, probably even less going on.
I just looked it up. His name is Memo.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I did not remember that at all.
I bet you want to bet that's not even how it's pronounced in the movie. Saying.
I'm really trying to think, like, there's a possibility they actually say his name differently. Like, really.
I'm looking at the list of humans. Oh, there it is. Yeah, no, it is Memo.
Yeah. But like you say, it might be Memo. Like, they might have actually had it spelled Memo, and it's not even pronounced that way. Like, I can actually see that happening.
Or maybe it's one of those names where you just can't even pronounce it properly. Like, for comedic effect, I'm going to suggest maybe it's actually pronounced Jesus.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. That was for comedic effect. I was not trying to make a racial joke. I know people who have normal-looking English names.
Hey, man.
And then there's weird accents apparently hidden in them.
Until the Walking Dead show, it was not confirmed that Jesus was Jesus or vice versa.
That's true.
So, there you go.
Yep.
Back to Bumblebee.
So real quick. It's your basic E.T. Iron Giant premise. Robot falls to Earth, befriends a human, and
a young
the
human,
government,
a teenage
the government
girl
wants to take out the alien.
Yeah.
In this case, the human is Haley Steinfeld, so it's a really good performance.
Yeah.
The thing that falls to Earth is Bumblebee, so it's a very good silent performance. And the evil government is John Cena, so it's kind of amazing.
Which is absolutely terrible. And the opposite end is the fact that John Cena's great, but the government is stupid.
Yep. The government's really stupid.
Like 1980s stupid. Like I said, this is a 1980s film, so
yeah.
The fact is that John Cena really doesn't have a reason to be angry at Bumblebee outside the little scratch he gets on his face, and then he starts to realize like maybe we're working with the wrong people, but nobody says anything to the degree of, okay, you know what? Let's just stop.
Yeah. Well, does it really surprise you that the guy who did Paranorman, who directed this, did a 1980s homage? I mean, this is the guy who also did Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yeah.
Kubo was a better movie than this, but this is a pretty solid live-action debut, I thought.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad. It's just certain moments, especially like at the end. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there was one point where our Haley's character, which is Charlie is her name, does something that just makes no sense when she tries to save Bumblebee.
Yeah, it's true.
There's no
I'm
physical
not
way
saying it's a perfect
melt.
movie, but just seeing the Transformers look like Transformers,
Oh, the
and actually having a
opening
good,
10 minutes.
tried and true plot.
Oh, the opening 10 minutes.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh my goodness! And I'm not gonna lie, man. I got choked up a little bit with that last scene before the credits, where we see two characters riding off into the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good stuff. That was good.
Yeah, like, I will praise the hell out of this film. I think just because I'm so glad to have a Transformers movie and say something good about it again.
Yeah, it just feels like a simple Transformers movie. It doesn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I actually was able to keep up with the action this time.
Yeah. Yeah, it only made about $400 million, so I don't know how much sequel potential there is. Unfortunately, because they usually need like half a bill to really consider it. But it's gonna be my favorite of the franchise, at least the live action franchise. I said it was
live action, hands down, is the best.
Yeah, it is probably a longer debate to compare it to the original animated. Because I know a lot of people love that one, and I understand why. I'm not gonna say it like, oh, you guys are idiots. I really hate Hot Rod. I hate his whole arc in that movie. Just no. Which is a shame because there's some really cool stuff fit in there too.
Yeah.
Like when Optimus says, "Arise, Rodimus Prime," and then the touch starts playing again. Oh, good stuff. All right, I've got a horrible transition, but I got to use it.
Okay.
Speaking of touching, let's touch our fingers to our mouths because we're going to talk about A Quiet Place.
Wow!
Right?
I was just thinking A Quiet Place too.
You're welcome. Because we were talking about music and everything too.
Right. I said, let's get quiet. And like the next 5 minutes, you hear absolutely nothing. And then we just go to the next one.
This is not a good podcast. I refuse to do that. Like you could probably hear my gears turning as I said touch. And like, crap, how do I use this as a transition? No, I didn't have this planned.
No.
So we're talking about A Quiet Place.
It's ironic because we made fun of Michael Bay, and who's the producer of The Quiet Place?
That's true.
Yeah.
Look, he's not abysmal. He does churn out some good stuff. I mean, like, I love The Rock. Like, The Rock is and I quite enjoy Bad Boys.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, what is it? Even The Island was okay.
Nah.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Emphasis on okay.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen with the way cloning works nowadays. But I mean, clone Paranoid movies, they're fine. And what was it? Pain and Gain. That was fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Quiet Place. Yeah. He's one of the producers on this. It's John Krasinski's, I believe, his debut as director.
Really? Wow.
Oh, he might have done. Double check that. Yeah, but John Krasinski, most famous for playing Jim on The Office, The American Office, I should emphasize. Oh no, he did do some feature film work, I think.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm just gonna keep looking, but actually, do you want to describe this?
Yeah. Well, it's 2020, and apparently humans have been taken out by these creatures that we have no idea where they came from, but they are hypersensitive to hearing and have indestructible skin. So pretty much you can't kill them, and you have to be incredibly quiet to get away or around them. And if you do make any type of sounds that they can hear, they will come out of nowhere and snatch you up. So a majority of the movie, if not all of it, I really can't remember. I know there was maybe a couple of talking points, but a majority of the movie, like 98 to 99% of it, it's this family going throughout an area trying to stay hidden while using sign language and the quietest tactics possible, like taking off your shoes when you're walking around a sandy beach or something like that. And it's just horrific because somebody's going to do something that will make some type of sound that's going to screw them over.
That's what I also say.
And you're just wondering when that's going to happen. It doesn't take long.
I just want to emphasize, this is the worst movie to see in a theater.
Oh my goodness.
Because, and of course,
everybody's holding their breath.
Everybody's eating popcorn. stop crunching your dang
I
popcorn.
had the complete opposite. Like, everybody, like, after the first 15 minutes just shut down. You had nothing. It was just like everybody was quiet the entire time.
I know, it's a whole thing. Like, and I had people, like, come back to me after seeing it, like, the movie was so dumb, they didn't make any noise. That's the point of the movie.
Oh, but we at least got a sequel coming, which ironically enough is coming out in 2020.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Well, overall,
record,
so what do you think about it? Like, because I know we didn't talk about it. Or did we talk about it? I don't think we did.
I don't think we really did, no.
Yeah, I think we kind of just, like, glanced over it, but we didn't talk about it.
No. I wanted to mention before we get into this just for a second, it's actually his third film.
Okay, yeah.
As director. He directed, I love the name of this first one, Brief Interviews with Hideous Men. I gotta look up that movie later. And he also did a movie called The Haulers.
Okay.
Which is apparently a family ensemble comedy.
Okay.
Which got mixed reviews, and I don't remember it all. So, but he's also produced stuff and starred and stuff. Like he was one of the EPs on Manchester by the Sea. But anyway, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't quite enjoy this movie. Like, it's got to be one of the hardest things to edit a film to make it feel like there's no sound. I mean, and it's also hard to make a movie that's pure tension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because thank God it's only 90 minutes. If they tried to make like even another 10 out of this, it would have been hard.
Yeah. They had the perfect running time for it.
Mm-hmm. Like it's. I can't even. Yeah, because like you said, like if you have a good audience, they're quiet. If you have a bad one, they just keep eating their popcorn and they even have the juice. And everybody can hear you. The one time it's like the one person leaves the other one and goes, "What's going on?" And then you throw an M&M peanut at them because it'll hurt more. There's more oomph to it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a really bad experience when I saw this movie, but I really liked this movie.
Right, but it's just like one of those things. Like it's perfect for like a home theater situation.
Absolutely. No, I had so much fun watching it, like at home, because like I had to put down my noise canceling earphones though, because like I live near traffic, so I could hear the buzz of traffic. I'm like, God damn it.
Is it either the crowd or the traffic? Like neither one is going to accommodate me.
No.
I'm trying to enjoy this movie.
This is the perfect movie for homeowners. Just saying, if you own your home and it's a detached home, you watch it at home. Great. Because like I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Yeah, it's a very good film. They did a very good job with the sound. They made it believable that they were not making sound.
Right.
I don't know if they did the best job explaining why they can't always just hang out in the soundproof room.
That's true.
I mean, I appreciate there's probably a reason.
Like, I understand, like, having to go out and forage and scavenge a little bit, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you could have prepped a little bit better.
Yeah. I just noticed one of the tweets, the one of the big praises was Stephen King really liked it, which makes sense because it is kind of Stephen Kingian.
Yeah, it is. It very much is.
I wouldn't say it's a perfect King comparison, but I totally understand where the comparison would come from. And he himself wrote in all caps, "A Quiet Place." Unless you think he just did that because it's a title. Later on, it's like, but the main thing is silence.
You glorious
it's a good
man.
point because we have actors who are not necessarily known for, well, okay, John Krasinski, he's known for his deadpan expressions.
Right.
But I don't think Emily Blunt's ever been known for much of, like, a visual facial actress.
Yeah, or any kind of, like, drama in that sense.
No, she's got some drama.
Yeah, no, I said in that sense. Not
yeah,
like... Yeah, just not... Not when you're focusing literally on body, actions, and language.
Yeah, no, it's a full performance with her. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, it's like there's really good actors who can give you something with just a look. Every movement she makes with her dialogue when she's in films that she's really trying in, because I've seen her phone in a couple movies. Mm-hmm. But like even something like The Devil Wears Prada,
yeah,
she leans into her performance so much that it becomes such a memorable and compelling performance. Like, and of course, like Edge of Tomorrow.
Mm.
But I mean, again, that's still mostly dialogue with the rest of the performance. In this case, seeing her be silent and like, you know, she's playing a pregnant woman too,
Yeah.
which has to limit your mobility, even if you're just wearing a prosthetic. I can't remember if she was or not.
I don't think she was.
Yeah. So the whole thing, it's like, it's pretty tense. And I do appreciate that it's also kind of educational.
Yeah.
Because they use actual American Sign Language.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they use too much fake sign language.
No, I don't believe so. I think they like try to be legit about it as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so I would say it's definitely a very good film, but it's a pain to watch properly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
You want all the right aesthetics for this, and it's just sometimes just that I want to work with you.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But speaking of movies that start with A, let's go back to another Oscar nominee.
Okay.
Let's talk about A Star Is Born.
Okay.
So, you know how many times this movie's been remade?
How many?
I think it's 4.
I was thinking it was 4. I was going to say 3, but I thought it was 4.
Well, here's the list. Okay, where is it? I just had it. Yeah, this is the 4th remake, because it was originally a 1937 film.
Right.
And then we also have a 1954 musical version.
Yeah, that was the first one I saw.
Yeah, the 1976 musical version, which is the first one I saw. I did not see the 54 version. And there's a Bollywood version.
Wow, I didn't...
Yeah, a 2013 in Bollywood.
Oh, man, I want to see that one.
Now, there's a guy who's very infamous on the internet. I need to bring him up because he's involved in this movie. Okay, do you know who John Peters is?
Yeah.
He's one of the producers on this movie.
Yeah.
So real quick, John Peters, he's kind of an infamous producer because he was Barbra Streisand's hairdresser and became a producer. And he rather infamously is the butt of a joke by / story from Kevin Smith about the making of Superman Lives.
Yeah. A
Superman movie that ultimately never saw the light of day. And he's also the butt of the joke for Wild Wild West because he's the guy who really wanted that steam-powered super spider.
Yes.
It was basically all him. So I just want to bring that up because I just find it funny that a John Peters movie is nominated for best picture, not best director, I think, or is it? Let me double check.
I don't think so.
Not best director. Nope.
No, it's
Bradley Cooper's got nominated for best actor, and I think Lady Gaga got best actress.
Yeah, she's best actress. Yeah.
Best supporting actor for Sam Elliott. No shock there. Apparently he was like about damn time. Because if you don't know the story, which understandable because, like we said, it's been remade a few times. The last time it was made in North America was '76.
Right.
It's basically the story about a burned out musician who meets an up and coming musician, and we see his life basically fall to ruins while hers gets better and better. At the same time, they fall in love. So it's kind of weird to see them fall in love and him fall while she rises. It's this very weird juxtaposition. And I believe that's the premise of pretty much all of them.
Yeah, I don't think they try to mess with the formula too much.
No, and it works pretty well in this, especially because they incorporate some interesting modern elements. Because they have the modern country thing. They have they talk about doing tributes to Roy Orbison. When did he die? Or is he still alive? He's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, I thought he was dead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he died in '88.
Yeah, I thought so.
Which is still later than the other remakes that were in North America, anyway.
Ironically enough.
Yeah, I'm just saying. And I was gonna say, and they also have musical performance on SNL as well as Grammys and everything. All that gets integrated. But what I really love is they really make you feel for Bradley Cooper's character.
Yeah, they did a very good job.
If they don't, they are not afraid to make him look pathetic in his lows. Oh my god. Just, like, the first time I watched the movie, I was like, oh, this is just probably going to happen. I'm like, wait, they're doing this? Oh my god. They're doing this? Like, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga have pretty good chemistry, which is good because it's kind of the heart of the movie. Right? Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I was looking for affirmation. And, all the performances are great, but, like, the thing that stuck out with me is, like, they were, like, still some punches being pulled. You know, of course, there's still beautiful people and all that, but man, when it comes to showing Bradley Cooper's character, like I think his name is Jack Maine.
Yeah.
Which I cannot remember if that's the name in the original movie, but you know, when he falls hard.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no. I can't even think of how else to describe it. But it's a heck of a performance. Lady Gaga, who knew she could act?
Yeah, which is funny because I think about like Lady Gaga was on American Horror Story, that like one of the worst seasons that I couldn't even finish. She was so bad, and then it's like,
where we're in the first episode of that season, Max Greenfield got his dick eaten.
Yeah, I believe so.
Or something like that.
Yeah,
he had something horrible happen to his sexual organs.
Yeah, and now she's up for Best Actress, and she deserves it.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
yeah.
You know, I always feel she's underrated as a singer because, well, I don't like a lot of her actual music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's funny, if you watch, like, her early stuff before she did the whole Lady Gaga branding thing, she was actually pretty decent.
Right.
It's like, it's funny because her journey in this movie is probably kind of parallels real life.
Yeah.
And also,
to me, like the most interesting thing is like what would have happened if it panned out like it was supposed to, in terms of like the original production, because like Clint Eastwood was supposed to direct it,
yeah,
and Beyonce was going to star, and like
Beyonce would have been interesting.
Yeah, and he had like so many other co-stars like Christian Bale, DiCaprio, Will Smith. Like could have been a potential
Oh
Jack.
man, a Will Smith and Beyonce movie would have been awesome. Like, I like this movie, but man, imagine Will Smith and Beyonce doing this.
Oh my god, Clint Eastwood directing.
He's kind of lost his
luster for me lately. It's a drug mule movie.
I know. Well, I remembered Jersey Boys, and I wasn't terribly impressed. I don't know if he can do musicals anymore.
Right.
I mean, granted, this wasn't so much a proper musical, but still.
Right. No, really good.
But did you ever expect to see a movie nominated for Best Picture that had either Andrew Dice Clay or Dave Chappelle in it? In major roles?
Oh, man, that is so true.
Like, especially Andrew Dice Clay, but I mean, even Dave Chappelle, because, I mean, he just kind of disappeared for a while.
Right, and then he came back and did Netflix.
Yeah. Although, also a Best Picture nominee with Brandy in it.
Yeah.
They found her.
So many, like, just random little factoids that'll be attached to this movie if it wins.
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? It's just because I don't know what else you can really say about it, because it's a story that's been done many times.
Right.
It's not been done necessarily better, because this is still really good. And like I said, the real life implications and the modern updates work quite well. I mean, you know, sometimes like you still need to do something good if you're going to do a modern update of a story. But you know, it is always appreciative to see the modern touches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember the Carrie update where they added less?
Yeah,
but they still tried to like have Twitter on it and everything, and I was like, this didn't work. Like, this is like the right way to do this, is what I'm trying to say.
Completely agree.
Because I went on my way to talk about modernization, but I'm like, you know, I just want to point out, like 2-3 years ago, Brandy, her career was at the point where she was in a Tyler Perry movie where she got AIDS.
Yeah.
And now she's in an Academy Award nominated movie.
Like I said, there's gonna be so many little factoids if this movie wins.
I know. I just think that's funny for juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Oh man, we still got a lot of movies to talk about.
I know, we gotta go through these.
We gotta stop doing tangents.
Yeah.
So Roma. You've seen it.
No, that's one of the ones that you've only seen. I haven't on that one.
Oh yeah, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, it's on Netflix. Yeah, because that's actually probably because it's Alfonso Cuarón. Who, I mean, what else did he do? He did Gravity, Children of Men. Right. Yeah, like Children of Men, I love.
Yeah, me same here.
And
okay,
like,
now I want to see this.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I mean, even like I said, he did Gravity, and the big Prisoner of Azkaban.
Okay.
The Harry Potter one. Like, you know, he's had a very interesting career. I was trying to say, yeah, because Roma is a Netflix original, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, like, Netflix basically invested in it. Like, this is the big thing. And it's, I think, the first time a Netflix movie was nominated for Best Picture.
Mm.
They've had Netflix movies nominated before for other stuff.
Right.
Because, like, Beasts of the Southern Wild, I believe, was one of theirs, too. But I don't think they got nominated for Best Picture.
Right, right.
But the actress did. For Best Actress. I believe, if I'm remembering how... Because, like, this is a very big Hollywood political film, without even getting into the actual movie itself, which is actually quite good. But I wanted to bring this up, because, I mean, Netflix is probably going to lobby hard to get this to win.
Right.
So don't be surprised if it wins something that you don't think it necessarily should if you haven't seen it.
Right, right.
That said, it's a very personal story by the director, because it's about a Mexican housekeeper working for a middle-class family, which is semi-autobiographical. And it specifically refers to, the name Roma refers to a section of Mexico City. That's where the name comes from, because people might wonder why the name. You know, wait, it's set in Mexico, but it's called Roma? That's why. Yeah, and it's set in the 70s, and yeah, it's just, I don't know how much more I need to say. It's a dramatic tale of the hardships of growing up in this kind of life. Wow. So it gives you a spotlight as servant that it's not a glamorous film by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
It's a very harsh, realistic film. It's a bit over 2 hours, and you can just really feel all the emotion with trying to escape the poverty. Like, there's, of course, this won't surprise you, have describing this movie to you, because in a desperate attempt, just give the kids something to grasp onto, there's a part where they do family outings to the movie theater.
No.
Which I'm sure most people, it's like, oh, we just need to do something to get out of the house to see a movie. It's a very relatable moment.
Right, right.
And there's all, like, there's work tension, you go through just crazy violence that occurs at the same time when somebody's pregnant and then their water breaks. So you have all that kind of drama happening. Because there's protests that leads to government crackdowns, so you see conflicts between, so there's rioting happening. It's hard to describe this movie more than that, because it's very much a slice of life tale. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, a lot of stuff happens. So, I'm sorry I can't really describe it in a very linear fashion.
Right.
But, I mean, that's probably the simplest thing, is it's a family going through hardships in 1970s Mexico, living as servants in a poor life, trying to, just make it through and get past all the nonsense happening around them, especially since they're in the capital city. Yeah, and they just gotta find a way to get themselves a better life.
Exactly. No, that sounds really good.
No, that's probably the best one. But it's funny because, remember a few years ago there was the movie Brooklyn. It's like, what's it about? An Irish girl moves to Brooklyn. It's kind of like that. Like, there's more going on in Roma.
Right.
But, I feel like as I was sitting there describing, and this happens, and this happens, it's really just them, especially it focuses on the mother. Cleo.
Okay.
That's her name. Yeah, I'm going to read, I am not going to be able to pronounce this properly, I'm sorry. Yalitza Aparico? Hopefully that was correct. She's the mom, she's the patriarch, she's pregnant for a good chunk of the movie, and she's, just trying to help the family make it through. And yeah, her story is very much the crux of the whole movie, and it's a very well done performance. It's no shock she got nominated for Best Actress. That's gonna be my answer to Roma. Do you want to talk about the movie you saw that I didn't?
All right. Well, one of them I know that I saw that you didn't was Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That got nominated for something too, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. Let's see.
Best Supporting Actress, I think?
Yeah.
Which was funny because, no, it didn't get. Just Best Actress. Sorry.
Yeah, just Best. Yeah.
Which is funny because I was talking to a friend the other day. I was like, man, remember when Melissa McCarthy did dramatic roles? We completely forgot that this movie existed. Because we were complaining about how bad her comedies were this year. And then it was like, oh yeah, right, this. There you go. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's pretty much a movie about. It's just crazy because it takes this big left turn, but it just appears to be a movie about a guy who's played by Lakeith Stanfield, who's of course Darius in Atlanta, and he's just trying to get a job, and he has to use his quote unquote white voice to appeal to people when he's being a telemarketer. And the funny thing about it, like I said, I'm not going to spoil too much as I can't, but it's like this movie takes such a weird left turn about 2/3 into it that you do not expect. it becomes like something, and we made fun about Bumblebee being like a 80s movie. This is a 90s movie. This really is.
Fantastic.
This really is.
Well, isn't it also autobiographical?
To a certain extent. To a certain extent, but like the guy, Boots Riley, who this is directorial debut, it says like he was writing this a lot during the Obama administration, so it was like a lot of stuff he was going through and trying to just live. So it's very interesting, like the take that he does on just the idea of not only being a telemarketer, but just like rising up in the world and how you change and how you become somebody completely different, or if you just trying to be this person, like Tessa Thompson's character, who's the love interest, who has the greatest name for a character. Her name is Detroit.
Oh, fantastic!
and she's like just like an abstract artist who works also as a sign flipper. You know, like trying to point people to a store by flipping signs on the side of the road. And she proclaims that as a part of her art. Like, she takes pride in it. It's just so odd. Like, just really good stuff. But, surprisingly funny movie from the perspective of why they went there. Like, I had no idea they were going to go with this twist.
Well, it happens.
Speaking of twists, which one
do you want to segue to?
I think you have one that has many branching paths and narratives.
Oh, that one. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one to talk about. Okay, so we kind of touched on this last time, actually.
Yeah.
The Black Mirror Netflix original movie, Bandersnatch.
Yes.
Where movie is almost inaccurate because it's more like a visual novel.
Yes, it's a create your own adventure.
Yeah, it's a choose your own adventure.
Yep.
And what's it about? A choose your own adventure. Very meta. Good job.
Oh, and that's not the only meta moment that's associated with this movie.
Oh, this movie's so meta. It's really good though. It's a shame it's probably never going to get classified as a proper movie.
No, not at all.
Because it is kind of, like I said, more like a game almost. But that's kind of the thing, because it's very much about breaking down barriers. Because the easiest way to describe it is this guy wants to adapt a choose your own adventure into a video game.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, it's apparently cursed.
Yes.
Or something like that, because it drove the last guy involved with it insane.
Yeah, it's not even the fact that it was cursed. It was more so of you go into a position where you see all these alternative paths, and you just keep taking them, and you started losing the grip on reality.
Yeah. And sure enough, this starts happening to the guy. And it just gets weirdly meta in the process.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how much I want to spoil from there.
No, I mean, because a lot of the meta moments actually tie into endings.
It's true. I'm going to let you take the spoiler on there. How much do you want to spoil?
I'll just spoil this part, which was one of my favorite endings, was the fact that since he's creating a video game, there's like these endings that are connected to the Christmas holiday, and of course back then, like, because this was set in 1984, and like the local news shows would talk about or rate the recent release of video games and tell everybody, hey, parents, this is what your kid's going to want, and this is what is the quality, and vice versa, like telling the kids, hey, this is the game that came out, and this is why you want to play it. And several of the endings are connected to the rating of the game in terms of 1 to 5 stars. So I love the fact that depending on what ending you get, you might get a better rating or a worse rating, and they'll have to actually talk about certain events leading up to the game's release that just ties into the overall narrative. And even more so is the fact that if you, especially early on in the quote unquote movie, certain characters realize that they've connected or interacted with each other when you've gone back in time. And I do appreciate that because it feels like, oh my, it's not the only one that's experiencing this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we find out that Netflix is controlling us for its entertainment.
Well, of course it is.
I love that conversation. What is Netflix?
That is great. Like, did I ever? Okay, I'm gonna give you a brief tangent, but you need to hear this. Did I ever tell you about the time I was playing a role-playing game with my friends, and I had to explain in character what Wi-Fi was to people who had no concept of the internet? It got even better because my character didn't fully understand Wi-Fi. Because my character came from a post-apocalyptic hellscape, where it was implied that they had improvised technology based on the entrails of the vampires they kept killing.
Wow.
So it led to a cult of Wi-Fi hippies just laying on the grass to bask in the power of the Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Wow. That is crazy.
I know, I just had to bring that up. I thought that was a funny little thing.
But overall, I think it was a great experiment. It's one of those things like I want to see more of, but I'm fearful because people are going to get sued.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. Yeah, Bandersnatch is pretty good. And stop bullying people related to it, people.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of bullying, 8th grade.
Ah!
It's another movie. I don't know how much there's to really say about it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those movies about the high school, well, I guess the middle school experience, directed by Bo Burnham, of all people.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Internet Wacky Song himself. And yeah, like he ended this. I don't know what else to really say about this movie. It's just a really good story about the trials and tribulations of being in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Like the title really does say it all. Like, you're going through changes, you're dealing with social anxiety, and nothing's simple anymore.
Exactly.
You're going from, well, in this case, a girl to a woman. Whoops. I nearly gave somebody the completely wrong impression about that movie.
He's like, I'm trying to relate this movie to me.
Sorry. Actually, it's funny because we got a few more movies on here that are pretty literal.
Yeah.
Like just to touch on it, this is another one we didn't talk about it. I think the big thing is I really think it got underrated later in the year. Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah. Like, it was one of those movies that had a lot of hype going into it. Then it was like the movie came out, and then nobody really talked about it after that.
Yeah, because it made a lot of bank too.
Yeah, and then once you watch it, it's like, man, actually, this is really, really fun.
It's a shockingly good rom-com.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to all the cast because they are good.
Oh man, I was so surprised. Like,
I always knew
top to bottom, just impressed with everyone.
Because I always knew Constance Wu was a pretty good actress.
Yeah.
Like, I don't watch Fresh Off the Boat that much. Whatever I do, she's always a delight.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I appreciate that shows an actual autobiographical, because one of the problems can always be if we don't really have source material for this, but we're gonna do this, and then they kind of struggle until someone says, we have actual experiences we can share with you.
Right.
In this case, and then in this case, the book itself is based on a true story. Like, it's a little exaggerated from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, basically a American woman ends up getting engaged to one of the richest men in, was it Singapore?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I nearly said something else. And, just the hijinks that would ensue from this.
Yeah.
As you would imagine. Because, there is some judgment. Because, it doesn't really matter what's your background. If a rich person decides to marry a not so rich person, there's going to be
it's not going to end out well.
Yeah.
Look at poor Meghan people.
Look at poor Meghan Markle for daring to date a king. Daring to date the literal redheaded stepchild. Just saying.
Oh man.
That's right. I'm dropping a royal family conspiracy theory into this. Why not? We've already touched so many potentially controversial subjects. It's not even funny.
That was a moment, but good lord.
Speaking of British people, let's talk about The Favorite.
Oh.
So have you seen this one?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, speaking of royal shenanigans, that's pretty much what this movie is. Because it's basically all about Queen Anne. For those who don't know, she was the Queen of Great Britain around the time of the War of Spanish Succession, which is like
it's like easy for me to say.
1708 is when the movie starts. And essentially a rivalry develops between Abigail, who I believe is a baroness, and is genuinely, like, she's the cousin of, what is it? She's Duchess Sarah. I'm trying to get the titles right, because I know that, because basically it's all about Anne, Abigail, and Sarah.
Mm.
Emma Stone plays Abigail, Rachel Weisz plays Sarah, and Olivia Colman plays Anne. It's nice to see Olivia Colman in a major motion picture, because she's done a lot of great television work. And also played a generic villain on Doctor Who for some reason, even though she was already famous. It's weird. And, yeah, it's very much a kind of... What if Game of Thrones didn't have murder?
Mm.
Because as far as I remember, there's no murder, but there's a lot of, like, sexual scandals. Yeah, because, like, there's a sexual relationship. Should I spoil this? No. Okay. There's some homosexual eroticism in this film, which is kind of surprising. And it very much is about the power structure, because Queen Anne herself is the most powerful person in the court. And Sarah is the one who has favor with Queen Anne. And Abigail is kind of the young upstart. Like, I think she was working as a, what's the term, scullery maid at one point. And then she becomes a baroness. So and as a result, there's a lot of, just to keep it simple, because I don't know how much I actually want to give away, even though this is based on a decent amount of actual historical fact, but it's also historic fiction, so I don't know what's true and what's not. There's some quite a bit of shenanigans, as essentially Abigail and Sarah essentially have a fight and try to see who can win. That's probably the best way to sum it up. Just royal dickery. It's pretty fun though. Like, if you like yourself some good old fashioned, have you heard the latest scandal? You know, as two people compete to basically become the favorite,
right,
as the title of the movie would imply, to Queen Anne. It's quite fun, and all the performances are really good. You know, you can live with the fact that you got Emma Stone in there alongside actual British actresses and actors. It's quite fun. And also kind of dark.
It's looking in cherry with that one.
I tell you, Morty, it's both pretty fun, but it's got some dark moments.
Oh, sounds like he like this white boy's trying to get a little Rick over here.
Yep. I set you up for that one.
Yeah, because one of the movies we talked about so much, because we just saw the name. We saw it like way before it even came out. It was like we were just intrigued, but we never talked about it. And I finally got around to seeing it. Good old White Boy Rick.
Yeah. Which
is a biographical film starring everyone's favorite car driver himself, Matthew McConaughey.
Of course it is.
Of course. Playing the dad of Richie Merritt's character, who is nicknamed White Boy Rick, because he goes into a room trying to sell some very bootleg AK-47s to a bunch of drug dealing gang members, and they immediately identify him as White Boy Rick. And the big twist of the movie, which I mean is not unknown because the story has already been told before, is the fact that he gets picked up by the cops to become an informant at 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So he learns the drug game at 14 years old. And of course, once they're done with him, he decides he wants to sell drugs too.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. But it was funny because like the more interesting part of his story actually happens a little bit after, because they give the the explanation, like what happens in his life after he gets in prison, and it's funny because I was reading it up, and I had no idea like he was back in jail until 2020 because of being involved in a car theft ring. And come to find out, his father and his sister, who they talk about a lot in the movie itself, were like the masterminds behind it. So he took the fall for them. Good old Matthew McConaughey's inspiration, always doing something good. But not bad movie. It's just one of those things like it could have been better, I think, or maybe just the material and stuff just didn't make it for it to be something better than it could have been. It's just funny because we've seen. Specifically, I think both of us saw another autobiographical movie, seriously, that was just immaculate, dare I say. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
I'm trying to think now. Are you talking about Won't You Be My Neighbor?
There you go.
Okay. I was struggling for because I was starting to think of another movie we still haven't talked about.
Okay.
I was like, it can't be that one.
No. Yeah, let's try to do a quick one here. Like I said,
Won't You Be My Neighbor is the best freaking biopic documentary ever. You should watch it. Why haven't you watched it yet? You've chosen poorly.
Unless you do not want to get teary-eyed and do not have tissues around you, there's no reason why you shouldn't watch that movie.
It is the best documentary, the most feelsy documentary. I love it so much. Why the hell it wasn't nominated for an Oscar is the biggest snub of the year.
Definitely, couldn't agree with you more. Like, I was watching it, like, on the edge of my seat the entire time, and when I was done, I was just taken aback. Like, and that's the thing, I think we have more of an emotional attachment because we grew up knowing, like, the impact of Mr. Rogers, but even with that, just seeing the story play out, my goodness, man.
Yep.
I'm getting emotional now just thinking about it, man. What a great movie, man.
Well... Hey, James.
Uh-huh.
You want to ruin the tone we just set?
Okay.
Let's talk about the first Purge.
Oh my God. Oh, what
the first Purge.
And this is the thing with the Purge movies. I know exactly what I'm getting into with them. Like,
yep.
I'm not holding them at a higher standard than any other.
Sir,
movie.
please let us purge.
Yeah, just you know, it is what it is. But good Lord, this was terrible.
Yep.
Like, the most disappointing movie for me of the year was this one, and the worst movie. Because, like, not only do we take a good 40 minutes to purge, but then we have a superhero drug dealer that you have no real backstory as why is he so good at killing people.
Somebody didn't see Holmes and Watson.
No, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like, okay, for video games, The Quiet Man was one of those games that I had stayed away from because it was so bad.
Yeah.
Holmes and Watson is that movie for me this year. Last year, it was like, okay, no, I'm not going to even bother to waste my time and money.
What's that? You still think Talladega Nights was a good movie? Let me just ruin that for you.
Hold my beer here.
Yep.
Yeah, no, first Purge terrible marketing for especially what they came up with, and it was pretty much the same story we've already heard from the other three movies.
I know. They didn't add anything new.
Nothing
it was just
new.
A waste of time. Speaking of waste of time, no. I'm actually sad I didn't like this movie much, but I think you might have liked it more than me.
Okay.
You want to talk about Widows?
I'm on the fence.
Okay.
It was one of those movies that I enjoyed. Like, Viola Davis is what I enjoyed. I'll just go right there. Like, she made the movie for me.
Well, she was easily the best one.
Oh,
I mean,
man, she made the movie.
Elizabeth Debicki tried.
She did okay.
I could tell she was trying, but she really wasn't. She was really miscast.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of probably the point, but still.
Yeah, she was just miscast for that.
Michelle Rodriguez was cast fine. She just didn't really do anything.
Yeah, she had nothing to do.
No.
It was like that.
She had
one important scene where she was like trying to like putting everybody in check, and like that was the best part of the entire movie for her.
Yeah, because that's like her forte.
Yeah.
Her forte is getting angry and getting everybody to sit their butts down.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the overall idea of people not knowing what they're doing in this situation and trying their best to do it. But it was like done so haphazardly and so fast, and then it had like this little twist and these weird, just unsolved connections and everything. Like just a really rough movie around the edges. Which I'm shocked. I was actually watching. I looked at reviews afterwards, and I was surprised that people loved it so much.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a surprisingly dark and rough thriller, which is still fun.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say, but I mean, no, it's a breath of fresh air in a way. Like, here, hey, look, you see these people? We're gonna kill them.
Yeah. But good lord, my man, Daniel Kaluuya, man.
Yep.
Oh my god, that scene! I'm not gonna spoil too much, but that scene where he takes a seat and starts turning up the television volume.
Yeah.
Oh
you want to talk about intense scenes? Hello, Annihilation.
Oh.
So, real quick, it's probably one of the best sci-fi movies of the year.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way to put it. It really got screwed with the placement and everything.
Yeah.
Because it came out in freaking February.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way in heck it was going to get nominated for anything major, but I mean, it really is an interesting, like, I really don't want to give too much away either, because this is one I really want people to see, plus we're running low on time.
Yeah.
It's a really good sci-fi film. If you want a kind of interesting sci-fi film, check it out. I mean, like, that and Bandersnatch are probably the two best sci-fi films on this list.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't know what else you can really compare it to. And speaking of stuff I can't really compare it to, but we like I said, we gotta get rolling. Did you see Mirai at all?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, this one it's gonna be one you should probably see, because not only did it get nominated for Best Picture.
Okay.
I got one movie title for you to understand why people should go see it. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Oh man.
Same director.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yep, definitely seeing it.
Yeah, this is the guy he's done Digimon movies. I believe he did One Piece and even Evangelion.
Yeah.
Like he did a lot of like classic anime stuff, and then he did Girl Who Leapt Through Time. He did Summer Wars, The Boy and the Beast, Wolf Children, and Mirai. Just to give you some idea what you're in for with this movie, though, it's basically about a 4-year-old through fantastical means learning to respect his family.
Oh man, I gotta see this.
It's definitely fantastical, and it's realistic because 4-year-olds can be brats.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from experience as well. Don't worry, I'm not just saying casually in general. But I think it does a good job of showing. You know what? I don't even want to really give away.
No.
I literally was about to finish a sentence, and it probably would have given away basically the method to the madness of the film.
Right. No. I'm definitely gonna see that.
Absolutely.
I after you said, it's like, oh man, okay, yeah, this is definitely a high recommendation, man.
Yeah, it's beautifully stylized, and while you may not like the ultimate point of the movie because it might feel simplistic, how they make you reach this simplistic point through the stories they tell is really very engaging. Yeah. Oh, there's some really emotional stories in here.
I'm not surprised by that, man.
Yeah, and there's some tragic stuff, there's some happy stuff, and, you know, it ends in a good place, because of course it does, because you can't have a movie about a 4-year-old learning to respect his parents without, well, his family, because like I said, there's a, one of the major inciting incidents is the 4-year-old suddenly becomes, not the only child in the house. Yeah, so you can see what brings this on. And speaking of the only child in the house, Vice. That wasn't political at all.
Oh man, easily one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah, Adam McKay is really good at these political things.
Yeah.
And like, it's interesting because it's like, I think most people nowadays forget how messed up the Dick Cheney's role as vice president was compared to what most vice presidents in U.S. history were like.
Yeah, because it's one of those things, like, I knew, and, you know, following, that was when I got into politics. That was, like, the first year I was able to vote, was during the 2004 election, and getting into it, and just finding out, like, little things about Dick Cheney, and you see it play out, but it's so scattered because of time itself that you don't really know just how much he had done, and just how much effect he had on things. And just like seeing it brought all together in a movie was incredible. And then to top it off, just like the beginning, the formation of him and his quest for power is just so intriguing. And to top it off, they actually try to make Dick Cheney feel like a human at the beginning.
At the beginning, emphasis.
He morphs into a super villain, but in the beginning, it's like he's just a screw up.
I mean, look, I don't think it's controversial to say that people have joked in the past that he's Darth. I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna take. Obviously, the film doesn't like him very much.
No. I love the fact they actually even touch on that at the very end. This is not really even a big spoiler. It's like a mid-credit scene where they touch on the fact like they can see exactly how slighted this movie is in one direction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're taking a look at a political figure and it's obviously going to be critical of him, yeah,
it's gonna feel like it's going in one direction.
That's probably the film's biggest thing, is I think they probably could have tried to add a little more nuance.
Yeah.
But it's really hard with the material they're working with.
I love the fact, like, okay, one of the more infamous moments, of course, in Dick Cheney's entire life, really, is when he shoots his friend during a hunting trip. And I love the fact, like, the way they imaged it, the way they filmed it, it was like Dick looked at the guy. While he had his rifle in hand, I was like, man, what would it be like if I shot this dude? It just did it.
I know.
It was no reactions. It was no reaction from him. I was like, I'm just gonna shoot him. I'm just gonna try it. He shoots him in the face. I was like, yeah, shot him. And that's what happens when I shoot a guy.
The impression I get is that the guy originally thought another scene was him being shot. Like, because the guy who got shot survived.
Right. No, he survived like he said he apologized.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got away with your gun, Dick.
I know, it's a weird thing. And, like, he said the film ended up being more accurate than he thought, but he still didn't say it was very accurate, in particular with that scene. Which I'm like, there's only two people there, so...
and one is definitely not speaking.
Yeah, no, I understand. No, it's a fun movie. Adam McKay, like I said, is a very good filmmaker with the last couple of films in particular, because he did this and he did The Big Short, which a lot of people quite enjoyed.
Yeah. Christian Bale was incredible. Like, I wanted him a Best Actor on this one.
He's been nominated. And but I mean,
he's got a lot to contend with, though.
Because Bradley Cooper, man, has a very realistic fall from grace.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe as Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen, if he wins out of over these other guys, man, that's because there's also Rami Malek, who we talked about earlier. I mean, and speaking of Viggo Mortensen, let's talk about the last one on our movie list.
Yeah.
Which is Green Book, which you
Yeah.
also didn't see. Okay, if you've seen the trailer, it's pretty much exactly what you expect it to be. It's two really talented actors telling a story which, honestly, is not that engaging and seems to miss quite a bit of nuance, despite the fact that it's telling a story of real people.
Right.
Like, I don't know if it's just... Like, it's a good film. And, because if nothing else, it's Mahershala Ali. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yes.
Or is it Mahershala?
Yeah. No, Mahershala Ali, yeah.
Yeah, I'm never sure. Because it's a lot of syllables, but you don't say all of them. You know what I mean? Because he's got like 3 H's in there. No, 2. So the H is, it's like, what do I do? How much emphasis do I put on this H? All the respect to the man. He's a very talented actor.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about Detective Season 3.
I could dream of having the talent that he has. It's him and Viggo Mortensen, and they're both very good actors.
Yeah.
They have very good chemistry.
It's just what they have to work with.
It just feels weak. Like, it feels like, what if somebody did a better... Because, like, some of the dialogue reminded me of the less well-received Race from a couple years ago. Because that was another movie about race relations, and in this case with a African-American athlete and his white friend. In this case it was Jason Sudeikis, and I can't remember who was playing... Wow, I can't even think of his name now. Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens, because it was the guy playing Jesse Owens.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to think of the actor's name, not Jesse Owens.
I couldn't even think of Jesse Owens' name. That's how bad I am. I mean, at least the advantage with Green Book is I hadn't heard of Don Shirley before.
Okay.
So like I didn't know going into this, I'm like, wait, that doesn't seem right or whatever. So I couldn't tell you how accurate Green Book is biographically. Like I said, I never heard of him.
Right.
And it definitely the movie gave me some respect for him. Definitely understand why these two guys are two very good, and in Viggo's case, kind of underrated actors.
Very much so.
But I've just seen so many movies like this, and I think a lot of it has been done better before. Very much like Bumblebee, right? I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's just, unfortunately, I've seen a lot of movies like this, and there was a couple of scenes that gave me flashbacks to the infamous Best Picture winner Crash, which I'm just like, that's not a good comparison to make. Oh man, yeah, but no, I'd still say it's a pretty good movie, and I won't be upset if Marcello wins Best Supporting Actor. Although he is
that would be great. That would be.
He's also up against some pretty good competition.
Yeah,
we didn't even talk about Sam.
This is a stacked lineup this year. I got to give him credit for that.
Oh yeah, and yeah. You need to watch The Favorite Man to understand why Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz both got nominated for Best Supporting Actress. You will be fascinated when you watch that movie. All right, but do you have anything else you want to say about movies? Because we are going long.
Yeah, we were trying to cut it short. Not really. I think we covered all our bases for movies today.
Yep. Okay.
In 2018.
Why do people? So weird. So we're going to talk about the latest Marvel show that's probably going to be canceled by the time we actually put this episode out. The Punisher. Which, man, Netflix, just stop canceling Marvel shows. This is so terrible.
I said, we have no choice. We have our hands are tied.
So Punisher, as I mentioned before, is probably my favorite Netflix show.
Yeah.
Season 2 is no different.
No, completely agree. This is the fastest I've binge watched a Marvel Netflix show ever.
And
I think it's the fastest Netflix show I've binged ever.
Yeah, well, I want to point out, because we also had to do it, and we only had about a week to do this.
Right.
But I want to point out, we've said before that our biggest complaint with the first season was the first episode being pretty lousy.
Yeah.
So that's no good. And in this case, well, good news, everybody. The first episode is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
In part thanks to the fact that they have a guest star in the first episode, which I was very surprised to see. And what I thought was going to be a small role, and it kind of was, because lo and behold, okay, I gotta remember how to pronounce her name right. Alexa Davalos, or Davalos.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah, from Man in the High Castle, who previously starred with John Bernthal, the Punisher, in Mob City, the show I desperately wish had gotten a second season.
Right.
Because if you hadn't seen it, that show's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, how did Bugsy Siegel die? In the most horrific way possible. John Bernthal, you understand why I get cast as the Punisher if you watch Mob City. Because it's literally just John Bernthal horribly murdering a man. Anyway, yeah, so to catch up to speed, and the premise of season 2 initially is that Frank Castle is a man in the wind. He's Pete Castiglione. He's just a beautiful drifter.
Yes.
And then he even falls in love with a bartender in Michigan, and it's actually cute, and it's like a good Nick Sparks movie. And I'm like, aww. And then some bad guys force him to take off his belt. I am not even joking.
No, that is not hyperbole. That is not an exaggeration. That is legit.
Yeah, because like the first.
And not only that, it's in a bathroom.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, in the first episode of the first season, it's basically nothing happens, and then Frank just kills everyone.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that,
but
the build is more interesting because it's Frank trying to live a normal life.
Yep.
And they do also have a bit of action at the beginning with a flash forward to later in the episode.
Right.
Which I'm like, yeah, fine.
Which is funny because they actually do that more than once during the season.
Yeah, and it were fine. And thankfully they were smart enough to trust the audience to be like, oh, we'll understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And we did for the most part.
Yeah, because once you got to that point and okay, now we finally caught up. it worked.
Yeah. And I just love it so much. And as a result, Frank gets sucked into a world of intrigue thanks to, thankfully, not very annoying girl with 1,000 names played by, is it Georgia Wiggum?
Yeah,
I think it's Georgia.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just spelt in a, I'm going to say, more Italian way.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to describe that spelling.
Yeah, did you enjoy
Georgia
the
Wiggum.
fact that she didn't curse?
You know what? That was weird, but she's still really good at playing that type of, like, teenage girl.
Yeah, that was the thing.
It's weird, because it's like, that's all I've seen her do, is she plays quirky teenage girl, but she feels so realistic, even though she basically never curses.
Yeah, it was funny, because, like, she did one part, was like, HE double hockey sticks, and it was like, that's the first time I noticed it, and then she did, like, throughout the entire season. And
I know.
It was one of those things, like, I didn't get annoyed by it at all, either.
James, I think that's racist. Remember that scene? That was a great scene. At one point, she accuses somebody kind of out of nowhere of being racist and just to get out of a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's great. I'm like, I totally imagine people actually doing that. Yeah, like, turns out she saw some stuff, she has some stuff, and some very powerful people are after her.
Yeah.
And after Frank decides to Franken
rough
people
road.
Going after her.
Rough road over here.
That was hilarious. They made that stupid nickname work.
Yes.
Because that is the season. It takes, like, if you imagine, oh yeah, you're going to watch Frank Castle fall in love for 35 minutes, and it's actually really good. I mean, in part because the two actors have pretty good chemistry, but I mean, and like John Berthel's so good at being charming.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I mean, I don't think, like, he could almost be an American James Bond.
Yeah.
Like, not actually, like, you know, but like, he could be the kind of, maybe he's Southern, maybe he's Northern, you can't really tell, but he'll go, shucks,
yeah.
And you'll be like, he's charming, and then he'll buy you a whiskey. Like, that's my, like, you know, and then it turns out he's secretly a killer. Like, that's essentially what I would call an American James Bond. Instead of being classy, he's all humble and schutzy and drinks whiskey. You know, like, this is what I'm talking about. And John Bernthal plays that to a T.
I love the fact that, because he's also in Widows. And
yeah.
Like, there's a scene very early in the movie where you hear him making this noise, but you don't see his face. I was like, that sounds just like John.
Lo and behold, there's John Bernthal.
It's like, he's doing the Punisher grunts.
The Punisher bark, thank you very much. Yeah. This is a very interesting season because it touches on PTSD, what amnesia. Oh my god, the portrayal of amnesia.
Yeah.
Holy hell. Yeah, PTSD, no shock, is a major thing. You know, just paranoia. What do you do when the world seems to be after you?
Yeah.
How can a man who's gone through so much torment possibly relate to a teenage girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it
Especially
sounds like
one
such
that
a
you know
terrible
is not being
idea on
upfront
paper.
with you right now.
Yeah, it sounds like such a terrible idea on paper. The Punisher teams up with a teenage girl.
Yeah. Like it sounds like a poor man's Logan for a little while.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, but it works really well.
No,
like,
it does a great job. And
the villains are, you know what, they're decently compelling.
I enjoyed one character a lot more than I enjoyed the other. I'll spoil the one. Is Josh Stewart's character, John Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Who's like quote unquote a ghost. And we see him like showing up at random places. He's just this quiet, very, very like Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men kind of style.
Yeah, it's interesting though because he turns out to be like he's not Amish,
right?
Like it turns out he's actually a former.
He's a religious zealot to a certain extent, and you find out like you just see how much control people. That's another big theme is just the control of people through various means. Like good intentions are used to control and make people do terrible, terrible things.
That's definitely a very big thing, especially because, like, there's certain things they point out the obvious problems with the morality,
Right.
and it's very fascinating. And like I genuinely liked early on because small Billy Russo's in this season.
Right. I mean, they alluded to that at the end of the last season.
Yeah, because he didn't die, and I genuinely I felt he was less compelling later on.
Yeah. Once he kind of had that moment, and it was like, oh, my eyes are open, but I'm still not all there.
Yeah, that was less interesting, but the genuine, because he has amnesia, he doesn't remember ever betraying Frank.
Yes, and he talks
And
about him in such a good light.
And the emotion he shows when he gets crushed when he realizes Frank is now trying to kill him, and he doesn't understand why, is so great.
And even when they explain to him why, he still can't understand, like, how would I do this to him? And how would he do this to me?
Like, that's the thing that saves the character from being boring as hell, because he's in the whole season, essentially.
Oh, yeah. They reintroduced him very early, and his arc continues on to the very, very end.
Yeah. Like, that's probably one of the weaknesses, just because later on it kind of peters out.
Mm-hmm.
To use my own name in this conversation. I will point out he was also... Frank Castle was also Pete Castiglione. And it also got to the point, like, early on, they kept homaging famous movies and stuff in certain episodes. When they didn't do that, the episodes got kind of boring.
Yeah.
Because, like, episode 3 is basically Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
Like I said, episode 1 is like, what if a Nick Sparks movie suddenly became an action drama? And episode 2, I had a comparison for that. Oh, that's No Country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
episode 2
hotel and everything.
Yeah, episode 2 is very much No Country. But, like, with the added hostage situation, which I guess kind of makes it also partially, 3 Days of the Condor?
Yeah, I guess so.
You can remember, there's the bit where he, like, kidnaps the woman.
Yeah.
It's like that. Except it's not as weirdly sexual tension-y. I don't know if you remember 3 Days of the Condor.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I always feel like that's a more obscure movie than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no...
Great season overall. I have to point out, I know this is probably one of your favorite cameos, Vladimir Kozlov.
Yeah.
And
that
Keith
was weird.
Jardine. Oh man, we got WWE,
all the people,
UFC.
Because I wasn't expecting to see Alexa Delavos either, or Delavos, but I was just like, what is that? Why is he here?
We find out very quickly why.
Okay, like, and I'm actually forgetting now. Was he the bald guy or the other guy?
No, Keith Jardine's the bald guy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Who turns into the Toxic Adventure by the end of it?
His face. Oh my god. This is one of the most brutal shows I've... Why can't they drop more F-bombs?
I know. Oh, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what else to say at this point.
This puts the first Purge to shame with the amount of violence.
Like, it's a pretty good season. The ending's kind of ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like one of those endings. Same thing, I talked to the Queen Bee, Chrissy herself, when we had our meeting. It was one of those endings that felt like, same thing like with Daredevil, where they've wrapped it up enough that if they don't have another season, you're satisfied. But if they do, they left something open. Yeah.
I guess it works as an ending, but at the same time, it's kind of a shame.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like, despite everything that happened, it still kind of ended with a bit of a whimper.
Yeah.
Like the wrap up, Where Are They Now thing was kind of
Yeah, it made sense, but it was just like,
This seemed unnecessary.
Yeah. Like there's a point where they could have just stopped, and it would have been fine.
No, but I'm like, more than once I was like, okay, I'm going to stop after this episode. All right, I'm going to watch another episode.
Oh, same here, man. Like I said, I just went through this season crazy fast, and it's not because I was trying to rush to see it. It was just like, I'm enjoying this much.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a very good season. I do think, because apparently the critics are a little more split on it.
Yeah,
and I don't entirely get it.
I don't know. I don't know what they were expecting, honestly.
No. I mean, it totally hit a bit of a slowdown, which, again, unfortunately, almost every Marvel show does.
It was 13 episodes, man. That's the problem.
Yeah. This probably could have been 10.
Yeah, definitely.
But I wouldn't say it got as slow as some of the other shows did.
No, it started off well. It continued on well. And like I said, had a little bit of a dip in the middle where they were trying to like keep people separate just for the sake of extending the season. But it didn't make me feel like, man, I just want to get to the next episode because it's wasting my time.
Yeah, and there was a kind of funny thing where they got two villains to deal with, and like, which one do we deal with first?
Right.
And that would mean the storyline would just kind of stop for a little bit. But they still made it work.
Yeah, it was very video game-ish. Like,
yeah, I know. It was almost like, all right, we got to figure out, do we want to take on the mob or the not mob first? Oh, you're taking on the not mob? All right, we're just going to wait here frozen in time until you decide to take on the mob.
Yeah, it was definitely very video game-ish when it came to handling the idea of having two antagonists.
Yeah, well, whatever. Like, it could have been done better, but I mean, I still had a lot of fun with it.
Same here.
John Bernthal. I hated him as Shane.
I loved him as Shane, but like, I hated his character for all the right reasons, essentially.
I think that's the problem I had. And now that I'm going and I'm watching shows where I am allowed to like him, I'm really appreciating him as an actor.
Yeah.
Like I said, I liked him in Mob City, and I liked him in this. I mean, he's a lot of fun. And just don't get franked.
No, don't get it. Do not, please.
He will bark at you. He will take off his belt. That is still one of the funniest moments in just television. Just watching him pull up his belt as everyone else pulls out knives and guns, and he's just like, "All right, here we go." I was like, "Oh, you've done it now."
You've done it now.
Also, shout out to all the like side characters who I thought were either gonna die and didn't die, or if they do die, they actually go down swinging.
Oh yeah.
Like the bouncer from the first episode.
Oh man, he took such a beating.
He got shot so many times.
Yeah, he was like, man, screw y'all, I know I'm gonna die. I'm taking somebody with me.
He took out at least two dudes.
Yeah.
And
I felt so bad when he died. Like that was a great bouncer.
And were you surprised that sheriff lived?
Oh yeah.
Right? And of course the sheriff was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you have a Netflix account and you haven't watched Punisher Season 2, especially if you liked Season 1,
yeah,
you're doing yourself a huge disservice not watching.
Yeah, there's no reason why you shouldn't.
Just watch the Punisher fall in love and then murder everyone. Brutalize a man so much, like, that might be one of the I'm going back to the punishment the guy took again.
Yeah.
That might be one of the most brutal scenes in television history.
Yeah, that was a rough one. And the fact is, it's not like you just see the aftermath. It's like they want to make sure you understand just how damaged this man is.
That man is dead. Like, the amount... His brain became gelatin.
His face became his brain.
Ugh. On that note... I want to thank you for being with me today, James.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
Apparently worked through all my issues.
Yeah, we got through today.
And apologies for the longer episode, folks, but, well, there was a lot of good movies this year.
Yeah, 2018 was a stellar year for movies and games and even, to certain extent, television.
Yeah, television was probably the weakest.
Yeah, it definitely was.
But it happens. So here's looking to a stronger 2019, and keep your stick on the ice.